Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Holiday Wealth and Health webinar with our special speaker today, who we will introduce here in just a second, who you all know by now. I'm David. I'm also joined by my dear friends, Tim Freeze and Chris Doty. They will say hello here in a second. There they are. Hello, guys.
Hello, David.
With the holidays coming up, we thought that it was a great time to hear from Michelle again, so that we can all be aware of our bodies and nutrition during the time of year when it is so easy to forget. So Michelle Norris, she's part of our family now. As many of you know, she's actually our official VIP client nutritionist, which means you have access to her. So if this is something on a side note that you're interested in, you have personal questions for Michelle that maybe you don't feel like asking during today, email me, Chris, or Tim, and our teams will connect you directly with her on us. We're happy to do that. Also, during the webinar today, there's going to be Q&A. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should click the Q&A section. You can ask questions. We'll do our best to answer either during her presentation or more than likely towards the end. We'll do our best to get all of your questions answered. Also, there's going to be some pop-up polling questions that we built in. So those should pop up on your Zoom screen and you'll be able to, it should be pretty self-explanatory, so you can participate there. And with that, Tim, take it away, bud.
Yeah, cool. Greetings from the North Woods. The seasons are definitely changing up here. We're seeing the leaves are almost done changing already. And I see daylight savings time is coming, and pretty much when hunting season ends up here, everybody kind of goes into hibernation. So this is probably a pretty good time to focus on our health and taking care of ourselves as these seasons change and as the holidays come up. And I was thinking about the topic today, and one of the common things we're hearing in our client meetings is fears of inflation, and a real fear. And I thought very timely with this topic, because of course we're all worried about our inflated waistlines going into the seasons.
I like it.
Yes, yes. So Chris, that was my attempt at a little bit of a dad joke, on your behalf.
That was awesome. I'm gonna have to rate that one like a solid 8.
Oh, thank you.
But,
but it is a real fear. So we don't want to make light of it. And I just want to confirm on the sort of market update of this too is, it's something that Chris and David and our investment teams are getting together with money managers and some really smart people that are keeping an eye on things. So I want you to rest assured that it is a topic on our mind as well, and we're doing things in the background underneath the hood to make sure that we're prepared in the event that inflation does become a much bigger issue in the future. So
we'll let Michelle handle the inflation on the waistline.
Yes,
Exactly.
That's her lane.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate that as well. Yeah, we spend a lot of time on what you hired us for, which is retirement planning or planning for investments. I mean, it's what we do. It's the base for what we do, but make no doubt about it. We care about the whole person. So as we look at this, Gentile, we call it plan it, live it, give it. This is part of the live it side of the equation. We want to make sure that's not just living a life with money, but it's also quality. So as we bring Michelle, as we bring, David, Tim, as we have the whole group together, our goal is to help you with the whole life. Some of you may love it. Many of you who are on the call have been on it before and have really talked about how much you enjoy it and how much it helps you. So our goal is to continue to bring that to you with partners like Michelle that can give you a different perspective and give you access to somebody you probably didn't have access to. So as we continue to meet people like her, we want to bring them to you to see if it can enhance your life, maybe add something to you. So that's really what we're interested in.
Yep. Michelle?
All right, cool.
Hey.
Thank you guys so much. That was quite an introduction. I appreciate all of you being here today. I'm really excited to be back and talk to you about a healthier holiday season. This is kind of a crazy time for all of us. And today we're going to get outside of, I know in the past we talked strictly about nutrition. Today we're going to go a little bit into the exercise piece and a little bit into the mental wellness piece, because it all does go together, just like the financial wellness piece. That's why I'm here. And so there's many different aspects to your health. And so we're going to touch on those today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You guys yell at me if you can't see those slides. Loading. All right. Okay. Yell at me if you can't see them. If you can, then you don't have to say anything. All right. So I want to start us off with, just like the boys like to start off with a joke. I'm going to start off with my comic for today. I hear this all the time when I'm working with individual clients. They come find me in January and there's like, I put on a little weight over the holidays, but I think it's mostly water. I wish it were mostly water. That would be really easy to get rid of. But unfortunately, most of the time it's not mostly water. But I like this little comic to start us off. And then we're going to go into our polling questions. So I want to get you guys involved and I want to hear from you. So Ashley is actually going to ask you these questions as they come up on your screen, and you can answer or provide what you think the answer is, and then we can see as you guys are answering what everybody's thinking. So I want you guys to let me know how many calories you think are in the average holiday meal. So think about your plate at Thanksgiving, think about your plate during your holiday meal, your New Year's meal. Think about what you put on there and then how many calories do you think that is. I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to answer. I think the way this works is that you should have something pop up on your screen right now. You can click what you think the answer is, and then we'll all be able to see how everyone answered in a second. Ashley, let me know if you, I don't know if I see the answers too, maybe.
Hey, I can see them. Looks like we're done.
You can
So
Okay, thanks.
it looks like nobody answered 2,000 calories. 43% said 2,500 calories, and then 57% said 3,000 calories. That would be my guess.
There we go. 57% of you are correct. So the average holiday meal is 3,000 calories. And to put that in perspective, we're probably all familiar with the number 2,000. That's kind of the broad recommendation for how many calories we need every day. I don't love that number because we have some people that are 4'11" and weigh 95 pounds, and then we've got some people that are 6'5" and weigh a healthy 225 pounds. And to say that everybody, including those two people, both need 2,000 calories a day isn't correct. So everybody's nutritional needs and calorie needs are so different. But when it comes to the average holiday meal, there's on average 3,000 calories in that holiday meal. So that's typically more calories than you would need in an entire day. Just keep that in mind as you pile that plate on. And that's not to say we can't do that a couple times a year, but just be aware. All right, number 2, start with this appetizer before a big holiday meal to consume fewer calories overall. Got A, soup, B, salad, 3, anything on a tiny cracker. Let me know what you think. And then David, when you can see those results, will you do that same thing that you just did? That was very helpful because I can't see them.
I will. They are calculating right now. Thanks everybody for participating. This is great. Okay. All right. Looks like most people have done it now. Okay. So 10% said anything on a tiny cracker, 29% said soup, and the majority, 61%, said salad.
Ooh, all you soup people, you are correct. So 20-something% of you
Not
got
salad?
right. Not salad. And this
Wow.
was done by a study. A study confirmed this at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, found that people who consumed a bowl of hot soup before a meal ate less, lost more weight, and kept it off longer. So if you have access to a hot soup before a holiday meal, go ahead and grab you some.
Do you know why that is, Michelle?
I don't know what the mechanism behind that is. I don't. I can look more into that and provide that for you guys.
Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All right, number 3, what is your healthiest drink option? We've talked about this in the past. I don't know that we've ever addressed a martini, but go ahead and fill that out. Do you think it's a 12-ounce beer? And that would not be an IPA. That's kind of a middle of the road average, like Bud Light type beer. Martini or a glass of wine, and that would be red wine for this specific question.
This one's pretty close. All right.
Like a lot of participation on this one.
Yeah. I jumped in.
I got everybody's attention. Good.
So the lowest 6% said beer, but the Martini was 36% and glass of wine was 58%.
All right. Yes. Very good, guys. So, glass of wine would be correct. And we're talking about red wine. So,
Right.
especially when you look at the calorie count of these, a glass of red wine is 114 calories. That's 6 ounces, 38 in a 12-ounce beer on average, and then 149 in a traditional martini. Okay.
Okay.
And even within that red wine, you've got some health benefits. So, there's a bunch of antioxidants. And there's some research out there that says 1 glass a day might even lower your risk of a heart attack, help you prevent blood clots, and reduce blood vessel damage by fat deposits, those triglycerides. Okay, so that's not 10 glasses a day. There isn't like a more is better phenomenon happening here, just 1 per day. Hear me when I say that, okay? All right, number 4, how much does the average person gain between Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve? 2 pounds, 4 pounds, or 6 pounds?
I don't see 20 pounds on there, Michelle.
Thankfully,
I think
that's
the
not
survey, I think the survey's broken.
I could have done how much did the average person gain during COVID? And then that
Too soon, too sensitive probably for everybody.
Oh gosh.
All right, this one's pretty close.
What do we got?
Between 4 and 6 pounds. 44% at 4 pounds, 50% at 6 pounds.
All right, half of you were correct. 6 pounds. The average person consumes an extra 600 calories per day between Thanksgiving and New Year's, packing on about 6 pounds by the time the ball drops. Okay, that's a lot of weight. It's a lot easier to put it on than it is to take it off.
Hey, Michelle, you'll appreciate this. One of my clients told me earlier this year, she said, Chris, when I started the year, my goal was to lose 10 pounds. I only got 14 to go.
Oh, gosh.
So
Okay.
I figured I'd share that with you. It's
Thank
a great
you.
news.
Yeah, I like that optimism. Have that person reach out to me. I would love to help them with that goal. All right, so let's get into these tips. Number 1 is save the sweet stuff for the parties. Okay, so we really want to do the best that we can when we know that we have holiday parties that are coming up, and we know that we're not going to eat the best when we go there. But if we can, during the time where we're not celebrating any sort of festivities, if we can stick to our normal routine, this is going to help us so much. So don't splurge alone when you are not partying or enjoying the festivities. Do your very best to stick to the routine. And throughout this presentation, I'm going to give you a couple tips that are going to help you stick to your routine, because it's really simple to say that, but what are some action items to help us stick to our normal routine so that we don't find ourselves eating that extra 600 calories per day between Thanksgiving and New Year's, because that food does come into our house. We have leftovers. We have the cake. I don't know about you guys, but when we were growing up, it seemed like during the holiday season, we always had some sort of dessert on the counter with 1 fork in it. And it was like the community fork. And every time you walked by, you would just take a bite. And if you took a bite while you were walking by and standing up, that didn't really count as calories or have any negative health benefits. But if you do that 10 times throughout the day, every day from Thanksgiving to New Year's, that's how you get to those 6 pounds pretty easy, right? All right, so save the sweet stuff for your parties. Number 2, be that guest. I love this one. So when you guys are going to your holiday parties, or maybe you're hosting something, try and be the guest that brings something healthy. And you might think that people won't appreciate that or won't eat it. But as the nutrition guru that I am, and I'm always trying to find ways to teach people that healthy eating doesn't have to be gross. I think we've got this idea in our head that if it's healthy, it must taste bad, but that doesn't have to be the case. So every time I go to a party or host a birthday party or make a birthday cake, I try and do it in a healthier way that still tastes good, so I can show people and give people the opportunity to see that healthy food can taste delicious. And so these are some healthy options that you can bring to a holiday party to mix in with all the sugary treats. And I'm telling you, people will really appreciate it. They will consume it more than you probably think that they will. This is my favorite one, actually. On the next slide, I'll go through these really quick. So that Greek salad appetizer, that's feta cheese, the cucumber, olive, and tomato just on a toothpick. Super simple. You can put some balsamic glaze on top, and that makes for a yummy, simple appetizer. Those little pumpkins with that are made out of clementines and celery, those are super festive if you got a Halloween something coming up, or even appropriate, I think, through Thanksgiving. Fruit kebabs, that's a little time consuming. You got to chop up all the fruit and then put them on the actual skewers, but a really beautiful display there that people tend to love. The veggie sticks and hummus, or you could do ranch. Shout out to Primal Kitchen Ranch. I would recommend that one. That's a brand of ranch dressing not made with soybean or canola oil. It's made with avocado oil. All of their line of salad dressings and condiments are super healthy, no sugar added. So you could do ranch dressing in the bottom, or you could do hummus, and then it's just celery sticks and cucumber, and they're little individual servings. And then you've got your apples with nut butter and yogurt covered raisins right there to make for a fun festive treat. These are not my go-tos. This is actually my go-to when it comes to a festive appetizer. So it's literally just diced up tomatoes, or you can use cherry tomatoes, and you put that on one side of the dish, chop them up, and then on the other side of the dish is chopped up avocado. I do Boursin cheese in the middle, and then I drizzle it with this glaze right here, which is just olive oil, balsamic vinegar, honey, garlic, Dijon mustard, and basil. And then I use the Simple Mills almond flour crackers. I've talked about those in the past. It's just a healthier version of a cracker made with almond flour. They actually now have crackers. If for anybody that has a nut allergy in your family, or at the holiday party, they have ones that are just seeds now. So they have ones that are almond flour and then seed crackers, which don't have any nuts in them. So you can use either one of those with the Simple Mills brand to keep it super healthy. So this just encourages people to get some fiber in with their vegetables, or some vegetables in, fruit in, next to their sugary treats. So I really encourage you to be that person that brings something healthy to help promote health among the chaos of the holiday season. And I will say, I think this was in the Gentian newsletter maybe a couple weeks ago, but if you guys want this recipe, it's on the SweatNet recipe section, which you have access to all the time. So I can remind you guys how to get there, or I'm happy to share the link to go out in the recap of this presentation. All right, number 3, kill it at breakfast. Okay, I have never been to a holiday party that started at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, and unless you have, this is an opportunity to make sure that we start our day with a healthy meal. There is no reason for us to start our day with a cinnamon roll and a Pop-Tart or a bagel with cream cheese when we know that we're going into this season where we're going to be in a position to splurge a little bit. So at breakfast, we want to do our very best to keep our choices super healthy. And this should go all throughout the year. Really, if we can start our day off with a healthy breakfast with some healthy fat and healthy protein, then we don't start this cycle of the big blood sugar spike followed by the crash. And then during that crash, after our blood sugar's gone up and come back down, that's where we're cranky and we crave more carbohydrates, and we start our day off on the wrong note, where we start this cycle all day long of craving those carbohydrates and that sugar. So if we start our day with healthy fats and protein, we set ourselves up to want to make healthier choices throughout the day. We don't have those cravings. If you guys were here for my very first presentation, you can think back to that blood sugar graph where we looked at 2 individuals who had, if they had a high carb, low fat meal like a bagel with cream cheese and maybe a glass of orange juice, their blood sugar went straight up and then came straight down, versus someone who maybe had eggs and bacon, their blood sugar didn't do much of anything, just healthy protein and fat. And so they didn't have that big fall where they craved the carbohydrates. So during this holiday season, use your breakfast time to make sure that we're picking a meal that's full of healthy protein and healthy fat. And here's some healthy breakfast options for you right there. A smoothie. If you want a good protein powder recommendation, please reach out to me. I'd love to give you some recommendations based on whether or not you tolerate dairy well, or just what kind of protein you're looking for and what you're going to use it for. Oatmeal. With your oatmeal, I would always recommend buying the whole rolled oats. Okay, buy the big jar of plain rolled oats and then doctor it up yourself. So you can add peanut butter or almond butter, you can add raisins, chia seeds, flax seeds, you can add that protein powder to it. However you want to make it more palatable and more delicious for you, you can. But if you buy the brown sugar cinnamon oatmeal or the different flavors, they typically are packed full of sugar, and that's what we want to avoid. Eggs and fruit, or any kind of eggs with, so this morning for breakfast I had eggs with leftover Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes scrambled in. It was really good. This is in the background, beautiful avocado toast on Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread is that bread you find in the freezer section because there's no preservatives in it. So that's a great way to start your day. That's a complex carb with healthy fat and protein. Greek yogurt or coconut yogurt, almond yogurt, all the unsweetened kind, granola and fruit, a good breakfast option. And then, like I've spoke about in the past, we can have leftovers for breakfast. We can have steak and eggs. We can have chicken and rice and broccoli for breakfast. We don't have to pick foods in the breakfast column. Okay.
Hey, Michelle, on the oatmeal and the Greek yogurt, what
Yeah.
are we, if we really need to add a little bit of sweet to it, what's your recommendation there?
I would pick honey, or I would do the Purely Elizabeth granola. Do you like granola? Or maybe, I don't know if you're
Yep.
asking yourself or someone else. Yeah, the Purely Elizabeth granola is a really great addition because it's already a little bit sweet, and so you don't have to add any other sweetener. Yeah, honey's an okay go-to as well, just as long as we're not doing like 3 tablespoons of honey.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
berries too, like frozen berries or regular berries are all great to sweeten it up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure. All right, number 4, we got to sweat. Okay, so just because it's cold down here in North Carolina, it's really not even cold quite yet, which I'm grateful for. But I know many of you are far up there in the north, and it's going to be snowing like tomorrow. So don't let the cold weather and the busy season derail you from your workout routine. Sweating is really important all year round. Especially during this time because you need it the most because it helps us release the toxins such as alcohol and waste products, which we're indulging more in over the holiday season, right? We all can admit that. So we want to make sure that we continue to sweat, and that can be through your workout routine, or if you have access to a sauna. This is something I really recommend, especially during the winter season, that you take advantage of really consistently. So there's a ton of studies done over in Finland where they are really consistent sauna users, and they're showing all kinds of things, including longevity. So they live longer over there, those sauna users, longer and healthier. They help prevent things like cancer. So if you guys do have access to that, really try and utilize that, especially over the winter season. And then a couple other ways to help you sweat. We can wake up 15 minutes early and go for a walk or a jog. Or if it's really, really cold outside, just if you have stairs in your house, go up and down those stairs for 15 minutes. Just walk the stairs up and down. Wall sit while you're on the phone. If you don't know what a wall sit is, that's where you put your back on the wall and then you slide down and you sit in kind of an imaginary chair. This is something you can do throughout the day. Use your lunch break for a quick workout. If you watch a show on TV at night, I don't think any of us watch shows with commercials anymore, but maybe you set a timer on your phone to pause your show every 15 minutes and you do a quick workout, or during that show, you do some planks or some lunges. Or if you are already a consistent gym goer, stick with that routine. Hopefully, by hearing that sweating helps us reduce toxins like alcohol and waste, we're more encouraged to continue to sweat through the winter season. All right, number 5, do not eat. Okay, and so what this means is that sometimes when we think, okay, I have a holiday party to go to tonight, I'm just gonna fast all day today, or I'm just gonna barely eat all day and then I'll save all my calories for when I get there. Well, what happens is we get there and the wheels fall off because we're starving and we eat absolutely one of everything and then another one of everything. We eat too much. And so we need to make sure that we show up to these holiday parties not completely ravenous, because that's when all of our ability to rein it in a little bit and make good choices, it goes away. So that's the same thing when we're going out to dinner. Maybe we're going on a dinner date tonight. Don't show up to that dinner date starving, because you'll make a choice choice from the menu that maybe you wouldn't have made otherwise if you weren't starving. So like myself, when I'm getting ready to go to a holiday party, or if I'm getting ready to go out to eat, I'll actually eat like a handful of nuts or a piece of fruit with almond butter before I go. And so that way I'm not starving when I get there, and I'll make better choices. Okay, so we know at those holiday parties the healthy options are few and far between. So if you have that snack, you're less tempted to overeat while you're there. Okay, just pack a little healthy snack to eat on your way over there so we don't overindulge. Number 6, chew gum. This might sound pretty funny, but this really works. So like I mentioned, the dessert that sat on the counter in our house growing up from Thanksgiving to New Year's, and it was a different dessert. Don't think that we had the same one. Trust me, we went through them pretty quick in our family of 5. But when you're chewing a piece of gum and maybe you're cooking, you're way less likely to taste test your food or eat while you're cooking. Or if you're that grazer where you walk by the kitchen and we've got all the holiday goodies out, you're way less likely to just grab a handful of something or use that community fork and have a bite of brownie or whatever it is. So I really use this when I'm preparing holiday meals. Like think about Thanksgiving. If you're one of the people that contribute significantly to that holiday meal, a lot of times by the time we get to Thanksgiving, the actually time to sit down and have that Thanksgiving meal, we're full because we've been grazing all day long on everything that we've been cooking and other people in the kitchen have been cooking, and you can't fully enjoy the meal. And we've gotten all those extra calories. So if you just chew a piece of gum while you're cooking, this will help you from picking all day long. And I really recommend, we've talked about artificial sweeteners in the past, but these are 3 different types of gum that I recommend. I'm personally a huge fan of Pure, P-U-R. That's those 8 different colors right there. I order it on Amazon, but it doesn't have any aspartame in it. So all 3 of these are aspartame and sucralose free. So those are 2 artificial sweeteners that are toxic to our brain and to our gut. And they're actually banned in a lot of other countries, but still here in the United States, we allow companies to sweeten their foods and beverages with these artificial sweeteners.
So
So
I just ordered it on Amazon. Thanks.
did you? Okay, great. You won't be disappointed. I will tell you the Simply gum, it loses its flavor in about 40 seconds. So maybe don't waste your money on that one. I put it up there because you will see it at a grocery store, and if you're in a bind, you can grab it. But the Pure, it does last for a long time, which I really love. So that's a way to help you just avoid the grazing, but also a little side note about the artificial sweeteners. So if we can avoid those best that we can, that's great for your brain and for your gut health. All right, number 7. So when you're cooking, or maybe you want to pass this along to whoever does the cooking, these are some healthy ways to spice up the dishes. So there are really healthy condiments, and there are some pretty unhealthy condiments that can ruin what otherwise would have been a healthy meal. So these are all pretty low in calories, and they're very simple as far as their ingredients. Obviously, lemon juice, you can use just fresh squeezed lemon. We do this on chicken or on meat a good bit, or you can do it on vegetables. It's really yummy, or you can use it to make a salad dressing. I really recommend exploring making your own salad dressing. That can sound really daunting, but it's really not hard at all. And some of the healthier salad dressings out there, like the Primal Kitchen that I mentioned before, they're a little bit pricey. So they're great, they're easy, they have all the different types out there. They have ranch, balsamic vinaigrette, honey mustard, they have a barbecue sauce, a ketchup. I mean, they've got it all. But it is a little bit pricey. So if you want to make your own, lemon juice typically is a big ingredient in that. Garlic can make anything taste good. For anybody who doesn't know about coconut aminos, it's a healthy soy sauce replacement. I actually buy it in bulk on Amazon. I think it's $9 for the bottle that I buy, but it's a big bottle. And we use it in place of soy sauce. And so if you're trying to make an Asian dish, or last night I did burgers, and in the ground beef, before I put them on the grill, I did coconut aminos. It adds a ton of flavor. So if you're cooking for the holidays, cooking a meat, you want to marinate it. It makes for a great marinade. I really recommend those coconut aminos. The deal with soy sauce is that processed soy is called a phytoestrogen. This means that it mimics estrogen in our body. And so for us females, we have plenty of estrogen. We don't need any more. And you males, I have yet to find a male that's wanting more estrogen, okay? So we want to keep our hormones nice and balanced. And when we're constantly being bombarded with processed soy, which is in a lot of products, soy protein isolate is in a lot of protein bars. And soy, there's plastics that when we heat them, it actually leaches phytoestrogen, or excuse me, phytoestrogen into our foods. So we want to do the best that we can to avoid those when possible. And coconut aminos is a really simple substitute that you won't even know the difference. Pepper, there's a ton of flavor in pepper, and hot sauce and mustard, all super healthy condiments. Again, if you want the more traditional ones like barbecue sauce or ketchup or honey mustard, that Primal Kitchen brand is really what I recommend for that. You won't be disappointed. They do a great job. And then this is like 7B. So when you're considering baking, if you're a baker like me, I love to bake. These are some ways to make the baked goods that we make around the holiday season or year round a little bit healthier. So in my pantry right now, you will find almond flour, coconut flour, tapioca flour, and coconut sugar. And with those 4 things, you can make absolutely any sweet treat you want, just in a healthier form. So typically some combination of almond flour and coconut flour, or almond flour and tapioca flour, can replace a regular white or wheat flour that you would use to start a baked good. And then obviously that coconut sugar, that would be your replacement for traditional white sugar or brown sugar. All right, I will give the little heads up that coconut flour and almond flour are not cannot be substituted for one another. So if a recipe calls for 1 cup of almond flour, you cannot use 1 cup of coconut flour. They are very different. All right. So if you want to do a healthier, maybe I do it's a pumpkin coffee cake. And it's made with almond flour and coconut flour. It's so good. You want to use the words when you're typing in to try and get one of those healthier recipes. Use the words paleo or keto or Whole30. Okay, so maybe you want chocolate chip cookies, but you want a healthier version. If you just type in paleo chocolate chip cookies, these are the flours that they will recommend to use, and that will be part of the recipe. Okay, and the reason why these are so much better than white or wheat flour is that they have very little impact on your blood sugar. Okay, so they're grain-free, which a lot of us are intolerant to grain, so that just causes gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea. Maybe it causes a lot of fatigue or brain fog, so we don't have any of that. And then just like I was talking about that blood sugar graph before, it doesn't have that big spike. We won't have that big spike in blood sugar and then that big fall. Another reason why we want to avoid that big spike in our blood sugar is because when we send our blood sugar way up, what happens is our pancreas releases insulin, and insulin is the fat storage hormone. So that insulin goes and gets that sugar, pulls it out of our blood, and tells our body to store it as triglycerides or fat. Okay, so that's why sugar is one of the main things that causes a raise in your triglycerides. So if your doctor has told you that you have high triglycerides, 1, take that super seriously, and 2, start paying attention to how much sugar you're consuming or how much you're consuming foods that break down like sugar. Okay, so that's where those grains come in. So white and wheat bread, pasta, bagels, English muffins, tortillas, all that's gonna break down like sugar in the body. It's gonna break down into glucose, create that spike in your blood sugar. Your pancreas is gonna release that insulin, go get the sugar, and then tell your body to store it as triglycerides, AKA fat. All right. So these are ways that we can avoid that whole cascade from happening. Almond flour, coconut flour, tapioca flour. Personally, because I bake with them all the time, I buy them in bulk on Amazon. All right, so I buy 5 pounds of almond flour at a time, 4 pounds of coconut flour, and 2 pounds of tapioca flour. It's the cheapest way to do it. It's more expensive than traditional flour, but to me, I always think about it like I'm investing in my health now so that I'm not spending money on maintenance medications for the rest of my life. Maybe when I get, some people, they just they end up on high blood pressure medicine, and they have to pay for it for the rest of their life, or they end up on high cholesterol medication, and that's something that they end up having to pay for the rest of their life, and that adds up over time. And so if we spend it on the front end, invest in our health now, we can prevent having to do that forever. Also, if you are currently on a maintenance medication, you don't have to be. That's a different conversation for a different time, but please reach out to me and I'd love to talk to you about how you can use your lifestyle choices to get off that maintenance medication. Okay, save you some money and help your health. Monk fruit sweetener as well. So if you are trying to do a strict ketogenic diet where you are not trying to have any impact on your blood sugar at all, that's a substitute for sugar, brown sugar, and coconut sugar. Okay, it's a natural sweetener that doesn't have any impact on our blood sugar. You can use it as a substitute. If a recipe calls for regular sugar, you can use monk fruit sweetener, but you need significantly less, like typically about 1/8 the amount. So if a recipe calls for 1 cup of sugar, you would need about 1/8 cup of monk fruit sweetener. It's really sweet.
Hey, Michelle, would that be something you could use like an unsweet tea to add some?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're a sweet tea fan and you're trying to kick that habit, just make some black tea, which is unsweet tea, and then you can add that monk fruit sweetener. Yep, and a little
Okay.
bit, again, goes a long way.
Same thing with green tea or?
Same with green tea. Liquid stevia does the same thing as well. That's not great for baking, but if you are trying to make a drink sweeter, if you want to make homemade lemonade, you just need water, fresh squeezed lemon, and a little bit of monk fruit sweetener or that liquid stevia.
Stevia is as good for you as monk fruit.
Yep, stevia and monk fruit sweetener are the same.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, number 8, the slide everybody's been waiting for. So beware of the liquid sugar. And this is not to discourage you from ever having an alcoholic beverage ever again, but I just want to show you how much sugar is found in some of these drinks. Okay, so gin and tonic, unfortunately, there's a ton of sugar in tonic, and then the diet tonic is actually sweetened with sucralose. So I would say avoid tonic and diet tonic altogether. Really stick with soda water if you can. So it's not the gin necessarily that's the problem in that drink, it's the tonic. Okay, so if you're a gin fan, that's good news for you. Just see if you can do gin and soda. I know it's kind of a funky combination, but it's going to save you a lot of sugar. And then you can see in that far right column, the percent daily value. Remember in our very first presentation, if you've been with us from the beginning, throughout the course of a day, we want to try and stay underneath 25 grams of added sugar per day. Okay, so on that far right column, that gin and tonic, that'd be 72% of that 25 grams. Okay, so it adds up pretty quick. Cranberry and vodka, same thing here. It's the mixer that's the problem. So cranberry juice, unfortunately, is packed full of sugar. Even if they didn't add much sugar to it, what happens with fruit juice is they strip the fruit juice of fiber. And so when you eat a piece of fruit, you're eating the fruit, you're getting the natural sweetness from the fruit, but you're getting a lot of fiber with that fruit. So it breaks down slowly and doesn't have that impact on your blood sugar. When you drink just the juice, there's no fiber. So that sugar from the fruit spikes your blood sugar the same as a Coca-Cola would, unfortunately. So that's the problem with that drink. Not the problem, but that's where that sugar comes from. The rum and Coke, obviously the sugar's coming from the Coke. Dry white wine, red wine, Prosecco, those are some of our best options when it comes to holiday drinking. I didn't put tequila on here, but you've heard me say that before. Tequila, mezcal, a couple other great options. Bud Light, not the healthiest, but no added sugar. Eggnog and hot chocolate, as yummy as they are definitely full of sugar as well. So be careful if those are your holiday drinks of choice or if that's what you're feeding to your kiddos. And obviously, depending on the recipe, it can vary a little bit. All right, number 9, focus on your sleep. Do your very best through the holiday season to try and keep your sleep routine consistent. And here's why. So people who consistently don't get enough sleep, which enough sleep would be 7 to 8 hours per night, they have leptin levels that fall. And leptin is a really important hormone that regulates our appetite. So when we have low leptin levels, we actually have an increase in our appetite. So people who are sleep deprived consistently, they want to eat more. And maybe you've noticed this when you travel and you don't sleep as well. You notice that your appetite is bigger, or if you're really stressed about a presentation and you're not sleeping well through the night, you seem to want to eat more. That's because this hormone is causing that disruption within your body. So we want to make sure that we're getting adequate sleep through the holiday season so that we can have a handle on that appetite. A couple other tips about sleep, a little bit unrelated to the holiday season, but a reduction in sleep causes a weakened immune system. Obviously, the holiday season falls around cold and flu season, and COVID season, I guess. I don't know. So we want to do our best to keep that immune system in tip-top shape. So sleep is a huge way to do that. To my men on the call, men who sleep 6 hours or less regularly have the testosterone levels of men 10 years older than them. So I'm assuming you guys don't want that. So if that will encourage you to sleep, let it. And then getting too little sleep. This is actually from, if anybody's interested in sleep and how important it is to our health, I encourage you to look up Dr. Matthew Walker. He's a neuroscientist that studies sleep. And through his work, he's found that getting too little sleep across the duration of your life actually drastically increases your risk for developing Alzheimer's. So if that's not motivating to sleep, I don't know what is. So 7 to 8 hours is the goal. And ideally, it would be the same 7 to 8 hours every night. So not 8 to 4 a.m. one day and then midnight to 8 a.m. the next day. We want to try and have a consistent sleep pattern. That's how we get better quality sleep. Okay, the holiday food health scale. So if we think about all the foods that we're going to come into contact with on the Thanksgiving table or the holiday meal table, I tried to include them all here, and then we're going to look at them from least worst to maybe the most calorie or sugary filled. Okay, so obviously everybody would guess that the salad and the roasted veggies would be what you should put have the biggest serving of on your plate. When you're thinking about filling that plate, we want the plate to be most full, the biggest piece of that pie chart. If we think about the plate as a pie chart, to be full of the salad or roasted veggies. Second would be the protein. So whether it's the turkey, steak, ham, whatever your family's choice of protein is, that would be what I would encourage you to take up the second biggest space on your plate. Casseroles are tough because some of them are really, really healthy. Some of them are packed full of, depending on how you make your sweet potato casserole, there could be a lot of sugar in there with the caramelized or sugar coated nuts on top. I have a really healthy but delicious sweet potato casserole recipe. So if you're looking to make your sweet potato casserole a little bit healthier this year, and you can totally dupe your family, they would have no idea that it's a healthier recipe because it's that good, please reach out to me. I'd love to share it with you. So casseroles fall somewhere in the middle. Then we get to that bread and butter, as delicious as it might be. Bread, like we talked about, it breaks down like glucose in the body, which spikes that blood sugar. Same thing with mashed or baked potatoes. And then we get into those desserts. So those last three columns, if you will, the reason they're over there is because they're breaking down like sugar in the body, creating that big spike in our blood sugar, telling the pancreas to release that insulin and go grab the sugar to store it as fat. And those are the foods that make us want to take a nap after our meal. There is some tryptophan in turkey, so yes, that is something that promotes a state of sleepiness, but also that blood sugar crash about an hour after a meal. That's what's going to come from that bread and butter, mashed potatoes, and those desserts. Okay, so when we think about trying to fill our plate, more of the foods on the left, less of the foods on the right.
Wait, Michelle, so you're saying the foods on the far right, because I think for us over history in our holiday meals, we had a theme song for the end of that scale for the pie eaters. It was called "Come All Ye Faithfuls."
Oh my gosh.
Just an FYI, I thought I had to throw that in, but it's kind of one of those things. I know this time of year, I was going to say though, my body seems to want to go into hibernation. So I love things like chilies, things with tons of calories. My body actually craves them more than normal. I don't know if it's much seasonal. Maybe it is in the north, but it seems to be much more common now preparing for winter and through winter than when you're in a warm weather time. Is there any truth to that? Have you seen that before?
I have seen that before. Yeah. I'm sure that goes back to kind of like, primal days when we needed to pack on the calories before winter. I'm sure there's some sort of like a biological mechanism going on in our body where we feel the need to store a little bit through the winter, and then through the summer we can be a little bit lighter. We have more access to food, and or at least we did back in the day. We have access to way too much food now, but I'm sure there's some sort of biological thing going on there. All right, stick to the homemade goodies. Okay, and here's why. So this is chili, like a soup, and this is like a stew, a beef stew. And the homemade ingredients are on the left, or the homemade recipe, versus the canned ingredients. And you can see the clear difference. When we get to the ingredient list of the pre-made or canned beef stew, we get into things like we've got modified food starch, we have vegetable oil, we have soy sauce, which we talked about as a phytoestrogen. We have caramel color. Caramel color is linked to lung cancer in rats, and it's actually on California's list of potentially toxic chemicals. Sesame seed oil, glutamic acid, xanthan gum, garlic extract, soy lecithin. So some of these preservatives and dyes that we wouldn't put in a homemade food make their way into the canned version. And so even if the homemade version isn't the most healthy food on the planet, maybe you're choosing between a homemade sugar cookie and a store-bought sugar cookie, pick the homemade goodie every time. Okay, no one's putting extra wheat gluten, hydrogenated wheat gluten, or modified food starch, or caramel coloring in their homemade goodie, or an extra preservative, cornstarch of some sort in that homemade goodie. 9 times out of 10, the homemade goodie are all recognizable ingredients versus that canned or store-bought. Okay, I hope that's making sense, but I want you to see the stark contrast between the different ingredients. Those ingredients in the homemade chili or stew, beef stew, you recognize significantly. The ones on the can, we get into some ingredients that we want to try and avoid. All right, number 12, consider this immune support supplement routine. So especially right now, with what's going on in the world, but also every cold and flu season, we should be considering this supplement routine to help provide our immune system with extra support. All right, we're going to be seeing family and friends maybe from around the country. They're going to bring their germs. We're more trapped inside a little bit more, so we're just swapping germs a little bit extra. We know that cold and flu rates go up during this time, so if we can give our immune system any extra love, that we absolutely want to take advantage of that. And these 4 supplements, and they all work together, so I'd recommend taking them all, really help to provide your immune system with the support it needs. So quercetin is an ionophore. It helps zinc actually get into your cells. So if you're taking zinc without quercetin, you're wasting a lot of that zinc. So absolutely try and take both of these. Thorne is the brand that I recommend, THORNE. Super clean brand, would highly recommend it. And then vitamin C and vitamin D. Vitamin D, because obviously we're limiting our sun exposure, unfortunately, in the winter. And so we want to make sure we're getting enough vitamin D. And vitamin C, we all know that helps with our immune system. So if you guys want, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Michelle, for immune support, is there one of the, whether it's Thorne or Metagenics, one of the kind of one thing you can order that has all this in it? Or just one that's a good immune support kind of?
I haven't found one. If you know of one out there and you want to send it to me, I can give you the thumbs up or thumbs down, but I have yet to see one that has all of this in it in adequate amounts.
Got it.
But if anyone wants to start a business where we do put all of these in one, I think that would be a great business.
But you'd only get 1/4. You'd only get 1/4 the sales.
We could charge 4 times as much.
Oh wow, you are brilliant. That's
Wow.
a great idea.
Michelle, is there a good or bad time of the day, timing wise, to take these supplements? Does it matter?
Tim, great question. Just take it with a meal. Okay, so just with food. All right.
Michelle, I've also on that list as well. How about NAC?
Sure. Yeah. NAC.
NAC is immune supporting.
Yeah. Are you taking that right now, Mr. Chris? Good.
I am.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
Also glutathione, which is kind of a
and those are great. I mean, you can take them all the time, but that's really great if you're actually fighting something to give your body some extra support. Yeah. Okay, number 13. This is my last one. Don't neglect your mental health. So the last 2 years have been pretty tough, right? We've all been extra stressed. We're kind of being bombarded by the news, by social media with all kinds of interesting, maybe conflicting information. We don't know what to believe. We're a little bit nervous about everything going on. And so our mental health is taking a toll over the last 2 years, and through the holiday season, it can get worse. And so I really want to encourage you to make sure that you're tuning into yourself and thinking about what can I do to help with my stress level in a healthy way through the holiday season. And so I like this picture right here because it shows in a the depiction, how we get so stressed. And when you think about our stress bucket depicted in the middle here, we're constantly pouring into it a little bit. So whether that's the holiday season, whether it's travel, financial stress during the holiday season, work stress, maybe you're going through a move, maybe you're going through family stress, relationship stress. Sometimes during the holidays, if we lost a loved one this year, that can be a really tough time where we're feeling that a little bit more. So we're constantly adding to our stress bucket. And if we let that overflow, then our stress is going to come out in a way that we don't intend it to. And sometimes we hurt the people closest to us when we let that happen. So we need to think about, how do we open those taps on the bottom? You can see those little taps. That would be a way to let some of that stress out in a healthy way without letting that bucket overflow. So here's a couple ways that we can do that. Meditation. I love meditation. Even just 3 minutes a day has been shown to help improve your sleep and decrease your stress level. There are great apps out there, whether it's Stop, Breathe, and Think, Headspace, Calm. Please check them out. There's free ones on YouTube all the time, but really, really consider taking 3 minutes a day to just sit and be with your thoughts and let somebody guide you through 3 minutes of meditation. There's breath work. I love the 4-7-8 technique, which is essentially you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then you breathe out for 8 seconds. So anytime where we're making our exhale longer than our inhale, we're going to stimulate what's called our parasympathetic nervous system. We all live in a state of go, 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 and that would be our sympathetic nervous system. Our sympathetic nervous system, if it's always constantly being turned on, we're always in this state of heightened stress, awareness. That was our nervous system that got turned on back in the day when we were being chased by a lion. And so we were constantly, it's that adrenaline rush. And we kind of live there these days because we live in this fast-paced world that's go, go, go. And we don't take time to stimulate that other side of our nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, which, think about a parachute that brings you down. So this breathwork technique, all of these, but this breathwork technique specifically stimulates that parasympathetic nervous system to give our sympathetic nervous system a break. Okay, so even if it's just we're going to breathe in for 2 and then we're going to breathe out for 4 seconds, when we double or just make our exhale longer than our inhale, that's what starts to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system. So I tell people all the time, your breath is something you have on you always. Okay, you never are, hopefully, without your breath. So if you're driving and you're sitting in traffic, or you're standing in line at Target and it's 400 people long, or the grocery store is chaotic, come back to your breath and just breathe in for 2 seconds and then extend that exhale. Maybe you breathe out for 4 or 5 seconds, and that'll start to bring you down, okay, in a calm way. Journal.
Michelle, real quick, there was a question that popped in just while we're on the topic. If you're familiar with the Wim Hof method of breathing.
Yes.
That came from one of our attendees.
Yeah, Wim Hof, he is an amazing guy. He's done some incredible stuff with just the power of his breath. And so a lot of his stuff, he does some stuff to excite you, so to heighten you, so to stimulate that sympathetic nervous system and get you going. But he also has breath work that will help. He has all kinds of breathwork techniques. If you want to learn to hold your breath longer, if you want to use the power of your breath to endure really cold thermogenesis is really great for fat loss. That's a whole different presentation for another day, but he uses breathwork to endure really difficult situations, including cold. So if you are interested in the power of your breath, definitely look up the Wim Hof techniques. He's a brilliant human being. Very powerful.
Cool.
Journal. Do some yoga. There's all kinds of free yoga all over YouTube. Pick a 10-minute yoga class. Do it at night before you go to bed to help just, again, stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system and calm you down more, get better sleep, better quality sleep. And then I really encourage people to take a break from social media and the news. Turn it off. It's not doing great things for us right now, and the holidays are a stressful time as is. So if we can eliminate the sources of stress in our life that we are able to, then we can better cope with the natural stress that's going to come with the holiday season. And that's all I have. So now I want to turn it over to you guys. I want you to ask your questions. I know we've had a couple come in the Q&A box,
Sure.
but please, David or someone want to mediate those?
Yes, there's only a couple. You've done a great job. Thank you, Michelle. Very helpful as always.
Yeah, of course.
A couple specific, I can do this in one. One's what about steel cut oatmeal? And the other is, can you recommend a brand of gluten-free bread?
So the gluten-free bread, so whoever that is, can you email me because there is one. It's a nut-based bread. Udi's is okay. They're not my favorite. I make a paleo English muffin that's really good. It takes 15 minutes. There's no yeast. It doesn't have to rise for 24 hours or anything like that. And I make them for like hamburger buns. And then David, how's it going?
I make those too, and I text Michelle. It took me 2 or 3 times to
Oh, there you
get
are.
it right.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
them all the time now for Sloppy Joe. All your
Yes.
different recipes are great.
Okay, so I started adding cinnamon and raisins, and I've been making like English muffins, and I'll put Kerrygold butter on them in the morning. I'm 7 months pregnant, everyone, and I crave carbohydrates, but I'm trying not to eat too many carbs. So that's a way to like have a lower carb version of an English muffin. But those are both gluten free. So whoever that is, email me, and that other brand that I really love will come to mind. And what was the other question? Part of that
It was
question?
steel cut oatmeal, but real fast
Steel
on
cut
bread.
oatmeal, yes.
So Dave's bread, I know Dave's bread is not gluten-free, but
Correct.
is it compared to all the other options? Is it a really solid bread for people who are still going to eat bread?
Yes, Ezekiel would be like gold standard, the best, and then Dave's Killer Bread is the next best.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Dad, you hear that? All right. Steel cut oatmeal, Michelle.
Yeah, steel cut oats are great. Absolutely, that's right up there with rolled oats. Perfect.
Michelle, there was a question about the supplements you recommended and what dosage. I think we often hear about the supplements you should have, but not the dosage that you should take.
So with Thorne, it'll give you the recommended dose on the bottle. I tell people all the time, just follow that. Okay. If you're gonna buy another brand, just shoot me an email of what the brand is, and I can let you know whether or not that dose is appropriate or not. But typically, if you're buying a good quality supplement, the dose they recommend is safe to follow. Unless you're feeding it to your kids, then that's a whole different conversation.
Somebody just made a comment, come to Quantify Fitness if you're in Nashville. I go there. That's relevant because Chris, that's where I started doing the Vasper machine. And Chris, that's something we share in common. So that is a good place to go in Nashville if anybody's ever interested in the Vasper machine. Side note.
Melissa from my office asked if it was Canyon Bakehouse bread.
That sounds. Hold on.
Never heard of that.
Canyon. Let's see. Someone asked me about it before on here. Yes, that's it. Thank you so much. Whoever said that. Yes, Canyon Bakehouse.
I'm gonna write that down. Do you have to put that like in the freezer or the fridge? How does that work?
I've never actually personally bought it, but I've just studied the ingredients and they're clean. So if you have used it before, someone chime in.
We always keep our gluten-free bread in the freezer and take it out and toast it.
Just take it out directly from the freezer. Okay.
Then it lasts longer.
Yeah. Makes sense. Oh, no need to put in fridge freezer. Okay.
Oops.
Thoughts on using, I don't know if we answered this, thoughts on using fasting mimicking diet between holiday meals?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's great. Again, as long as you're not showing up to that holiday party ravenous and you're going to make some bad choices, I think the fasting mimicking diet is a great thing to utilize.
Great.
Anything else?
That, I believe, is all of the questions. Tim, Chris, you have any more you can
That
think
was
of?
excellent. The content on this one was just so good and timely. Michelle, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Look forward to sharing it with the folks that weren't able to join us live
Yep.
too. So we'll get her put on the websites as soon as possible.
We will. We'll send out an email to everybody so you have a replay if you want to send it to friends and family or just use it as a reminder as we get closer to the holidays. And thank you everybody for joining and sharing and showing interest in this topic. Michelle, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Michelle,
you guys so much
awesome
for
job.
having us.